communication is very important in human interaction or interaction between any species on the earth. For example, dogs communicate by barking, cats by meowing. Different animals have different ways to communicate with other members of their species, or even other members that are not a part of those species. For example, if you get too close to a snake, it's going to communicate to you by hissing. It's going to let you know, hey, I sense danger, you better step back. And these are different forms of verbal and non-verbal. Verbal is when you are actually using, sound, your vocal cords, your words, to express something, whereas non-verbal, you're using different kind of motions, maybe with your hands, something of that matter. Communication is what we use a majority of the time when, we're living in our day-to-day lives. There have actually been studies of inmates who have been in solitary confinement with no form of communication, no form of interaction with the outside world, and it actually affects us very deeply, emotionally, mentally, in different types of forms. It can really damage the way that we function and the way that we go through life. So it's very important that we have human interaction and communication. It's actually very good for our health as well. Not just mental health, but physical health. If you aren't, it can be, I think there's something called a broken heart syndrome, where if you're feeling a loss and separation from somebody you care about, somebody you've communicated with a lot, maybe a husband, a wife, that can actually cause some people to have broken heart syndrome, which they can actually pass away from. So that goes to show how important it is to have social interaction, to be able to communicate. And if you're not communicating in a way that is positive, say when you're communicating it's very aggressive, or you're not very kind, or your nonverbal cues are, for example, somebody talking to you, having conversations with you, and you're too busy in your phone or getting distracted by other things, you're not paying attention to that conversation, which can damage relationships. It can make people not want to be in a communication setting with you, because they can't take you seriously and they don't feel like you take them seriously. So it's very important in your relationships that you develop positive communication skills and actually listening and paying attention. The setting of where you're communicating is very important. The noise around you. If you're in having a very personal conversation in a public setting with a lot of noise, a lot of distractions, it's probably not going to be the best context scenario for you to be in. You might want to go somewhere a little more quiet, a little more private, where you're able to have those type of conversations. Feedback is important. When you're in a conversation with somebody, you're talking and, you're saying this, and then to respond is basically what feedback is. You want to say, what I heard from what I understand is, you've had a rough day at work today, and, you're feeling really tired and exhausted, and you just want to grab a bite to eat and go home and relax. And they're like, yeah, exactly. Like, today has been so hard. And so actually, responding and giving that feedback lets your listener know, the person you're conversating with, know that you're paying attention. Now, there's a receiver, there's a message, and there's a channel. The receiver is who's receiving the message. So I'm sitting here having a conversation with you. You're receiving exactly what I'm saying. And the message is basically, this is communication and what's important in communication. And another thing that is very important is ethics. People want to know that you're truthful. People want to know that you're respectful. People want to know that, you're not going to harm innocent people. And, there's different things that are set in place in order to give people those values and belief systems. For example, Christianity, Buddhism. These are things that teaches you a certain set of rules that you follow by. You do right upon others, you know, you respect others, you communicate with others the way that you would expect them to communicate with you, and, you know, it's as simple as that. And doing these things is very, very important. One thing that is also very important about communication is that it's irreversible. So you can have, you know, a really bad day, and, you know, everything just went wrong at work, and everything went wrong on your way home from work. I mean, you're almost rear-ending people, and just everyone's driving crazy, and your day is just so bad that when you get home, you blow up on your partner, you blow up on your kids, and you say, you know, things that you don't mean. And then after you calm down and you realize, you know, I just had a bad day, when you go to apologize, the things that you said, they're still there. You can't take them back. You can apologize, you can try to do something to make it right, but it's not going to change the fact that you broke a certain, you know, barrier by saying hurtful things, and because you're angry, and those are things that you cannot take back. So words are very, very powerful. They say, sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Something that the book pointed out as well. But words can be very hurtful, and it's very important to pay attention to the words that you're using. You know, studying communication is very important in our everyday